This is the Good Spirit coming to you, broadcasting around the world, as you can see from this picture. I'm broadcasting. This is the Good Spirit from the Spirit of Ecstasy channel, and I'm here to broadcast ecstasy around the world. I want everybody around the world to lift their hands in ecstasy, clap their hands in ecstasy, whatever brings you ecstasy. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about how to get healing power. I'll take this goopy thing off now. Uh, but I just want you to see that I am broadcasting around the world. But a lot of people, we have a lot of people around the world that are ill and are sick and have all types of diseases. Whereas the Bible says that none of these diseases will be put upon you if you obey all these teachings which I have brought to your attention. And we need to realize that diseases and illness is not in the will of God at all, that God never willed illness or disease, that God never created willed illness or disease, and that we don't have to have illness or disease. We need to write down some basic concepts about that. I've told you the basic concepts about coexistence and the omnipotence, omnipresence, and omniscience of God, and God being within us and within accessible to us, closer than our very own breath and consciousness to us, and that all we have to do is listen to that still small voice saying, I am here, and we can receive all thoughts. But God is coming to us continually with the words, no sickness, no disease. You don't have to be sick. You don't have to have a disease. You can be in perfect health. He's coming to us constantly with those words, but our receptors are turned off to that because of what has been trained into us from birth. But actually, we've been given the gift of healing throughout eternity, from eternity past to eternity future. Once God is something or gives something, he never takes it back. The Bible says the gifts of God are irrevocable. The gifts and callings of God are irrevocable. And when he gave you the gift of being healed, that is irrevocable. And when he called you to receive that gift, he does not ever take that gift back. How do you get the call to receive that gift? You get the call to receive that gift by opening up your mind and your soul and your heart and saying, I'll receive that gift. I am listening to the words which you are telling me. That's the reason why I tell you to get a journal and begin to write down the thoughts which God gives you, and get quiet and meditate. Get into an extremely relaxed position where you feel good all over as best as possible. Now, if you're ill, that's a little bit more difficult, but at least get into a quiet place where no other thoughts are coming, where there's no TV on or radio on or people talking, and therefore you're able to hear in an undistracted way what God is saying. A lot of times we're afraid to do that. People are afraid to get quiet and listen. Just get quiet and be alone where no one's there and nothing's being said. It scares people. But if you will do that and you'll ask, and when you get in that particular place where you're doing that, you'll ask God, what infinite mind, what is your thoughts about healing, and what is your thoughts about how much healing power has been bestowed upon the earth, and how much healing power there is in the universe, and whether or not I can be healed. What is your thoughts, God? Not what somebody else said about that, or what somebody else believes about what the will of God is, but God, what is your thoughts about healing power and my being healed? And how soon can I be healed? All these things you ask God. And then you write down the answer that you give. You give it some time. Give it some time in quiet and peace and relaxation. You may want to use TM, transcendental meditation, or something else to get into a relaxed position, or yoga, or there's all sorts of means of getting in that relaxed position. Or you could just sit quietly for a while and try to not think of anything other than just silence. And then when you do begin to think, just try to think only of God and the fact that He is infinite peace, infinite joy, and infinite love. And that then when you get through doing these things, that will put you in a place where you'll be able to take in the thoughts that are just literally pouring out upon you and pressing in greater than 14 pounds of pressure of atmosphere, pressing in on you. These thoughts are there. These ideals are there. God is there, and He is within you and without you. He's pressing from within you out, and He's pressing from without you in. And we know that healing energy is an all-present gift. And it's a tremendous amount of energy, too. It's not just a small amount of energy. Healing power is completely present with us at all times and in all places. This means that healing energy and healing power is omnipresent. The immortal inner person being spiritual and actually not physical. Actually, our whole body, soul, and mind, there's not any of it that's actually physical. It's actually all spiritual because all you have to do is look at all the space that is between the electrons and the atoms, and how that these electron, proton, and neutron are just spacers. Just they just perform the function of measuring distance, and they're very, very, very small, and there's a huge amount of distance between them, much the same as there is between the stars and between the earth and the sun and the earth and the stars. There's all of this space in between them which is filled with healing power and energy. And the actual protons and neutrons and all that make up the atom are just very insignificant compared to all that space. And that space is spiritual, is all spiritual. So we're actually all spiritual. But especially when it comes to the spiritual part of us, the inner person, the part that is immortal, that immortal inner person is 100% spiritual. And being spiritual, however, then that means that when we receive a physical healing, that physical healing is something that just actually takes place in our belief and in our faith and in what we become aware of, but it doesn't change the spirit, and it doesn't make us any more or any less immortal. It doesn't do anything to really change the immortal status. We're immortal whether we are sick or well. We're immortal whatever we engage in or do. We're still immortal, but we don't get the benefit of that immortality to the same degree as we would if we begin to become aware of the spiritual part of us. The inner person is already immortal, and hence our true existence cannot be touched or diminished by sickness or any setback of the physical body. So there's nothing being diminished by us being sick. We can be sick for weeks and months on end, and it doesn't diminish anything, and it really doesn't change anything, other than we just are unable to experience the full joy and the full power and overwhelming ecstasy and so forth that of having a radiant health. But that is a matter of us turning to the spiritual nature, which is completely immortal and completely healthy and completely strong and completely abundant and completely ecstatic, completely full of joy, completely full of peace, completely full of every good thing. It only that part of us only waits for us to turn to it. So we turn from that physical part of us, which is only the shadow. It only forms a shadow, and it's not the actual person that we are. So we turn from that shadow. And when we do that, then the light brightens up and does away with the shadow. To become conscious of a healing of the body is never the true substance of healing power, but only the outward manifestation of what has already been present with us as a gift of God from the very beginning of our existence. The true substance of healing power and health is already there and will always be there, albeit for sure it may be hidden from our view. We may not see all of that joy and peace and happiness and everything that is really there. It may be hidden from our view. It may be being overshadowed by our physical body or our physical condition or something else. And so we don't see it, but it's actually always there. And it's just like as if you go to take a capsule, a vitamin capsule or a medicine capsule, and it's got that digestible barrier that is encapsulates the actual powder that does the good. And but we don't see. Well, if it's a clear cap, yeah, you do see it in there, but it does your body no good until the outer shell begins to dissolve and then allows the goods which are inside it to come forth and do its good in the body. And that is the same way it is with our with sickness and so forth like that, and our beliefs. When we get the correct beliefs, then we're able to dissolve that barrier of sickness and illness and lack of joy and anxiety. And we dissolve that barrier out from around our true nature and our true immortal being, which is inside that capsule. And the reason why it's inside there is because we have formed a shell around it through our false beliefs and our wrong beliefs. And we've got to dissolve that away. We do that by claiming the promises of God, by making affirmations to the effect that we no longer believe in illness and sickness. We have to just say, I do not believe that it is necessary to be sick. It's very important that you say, I do not believe it's necessary to have a disease or to be sick. That begins to work on you psychosomatically, and it begins to change your very cells and your very atoms. The more you say that, the more your actual cells in your body are changed. The brain hears that, and the brain sends signals to your cells and to your body and tells your cells and your body to do the correct things to make you healthy. And it tells you to become joyful and radiant, and that joy and that radiance begins to work upon you psychosomatically, as well as it actually begins to work in all other ways too, but it actually works psychosomatically and actually changes your physical form. So we have to begin to realize that we've got to make that affirmation, and we've got to go over that affirmation. Don't listen to people that say, well, you can make that affirmation if you want to, but it won't never happen. Don't listen to them. Go ahead and make those affirmations. Hence, what happens is our actual persuasion and belief and the affirmation that we make and the degree to which we believe that affirmation, which is the same as like faith. What it's talking about faith, where it says faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That particular faith or that particular persuasion or affirmation, that affirmation becomes the substance of our healing, because that's all the substance there is in. All the substance there is in sickness and illness is just our lack of the proper affirmation. And once the proper affirmation comes along and we have the proper faith in it, all sickness and illness just dissolves away, just like a shadow or just like turning on a light in a room. So we are able to, we have the power within us to turn that light on. And when we turn to God and His thoughts, we turn that light on in the room of our body, and that begins to work on our body, and that begins to make those changes that we need. And that radiance cannot be opposed. It has to do its work. And so we know then that we can always receive healing of any disease. There's no disease that cannot be